Welcome to Behind Closed Books, the podcast where business owners and experts reveal the financial decisions that shape their success. Each episode brings you unscripted stories of turning points, hard calls, and the numbers that changed everything to pivot, recover, and grow. If you're building a business and ready to think differently about profit, pressure, and progress, behind every smart decision is a story worth telling. This is the show. Here is your host, Craig Sheets.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Behind Closed Books. My next guest today is the host of an extremely popular YouTube channel called Comic Book Corner 2.0 with almost 22,000 followers. He is also the head tennis pro of a tennis facility for over 20 years. With that, everybody meet my next guest, Mike Koslik. Welcome to Behind Closed Books, Mike.
Hey, it's my pleasure to be here, Craig. We have known each other for a very long time, and this is going to be fun talking about comics, maybe even a little bit of tennis. Like, who knows where this conversation is going to take us? But I'm honored to be on the show here today.
It really means a lot. We're known each other both professionally and I'd say almost more friend-based as well. We've known each other going on probably 15 years at least. I mean, we go way back.
At least, I'm 50 now. And I know you came to my 40th birthday party. We knew each other before that.
Oh my God. I remember you had that big, video game thing set up in the front yard.
Yeah, we had a game truck there. Yeah, exactly.
I've never even seen that before. This is exciting. I got a couple different topics I thought we'd talk about. I'll just kind of give a general overview to everybody, and then we'll go deep dive into whatever order you want. I figured today you can talk a little bit about your YouTube presence and your online presence in that world. And I know my guests would be really excited to hear about this, but maybe some of the financial effects of live streaming, podcast, and YouTube work. Like, what does it take to start up a YouTube channel and to build a subscription base? This might be something new to some people that you can shed some light on. It might help other people be interested in that. And then what's some of the latest trends in growing your online audience, and what's the breakdown in payouts? And I know we don't have to get specific to you for YouTube, but you can just say, this is how it works in each industry. But and also listen about your tennis. So I'll start wherever you want. I just wanted to give kind of an overview to my audience, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay. Yeah, wherever you want to go, we can kick it off. Just shoot me a question and I'll go.
I think the best thing to start with is maybe tell us about you and your YouTube presence. I don't even think you're just YouTube. I think you're so much more than that. So maybe tell us more about generically, like, what is it you do, and how you're involved in the online community.
Well, one of the big things about YouTube and what I like about it so much compared to maybe a lot of other social media outlets is that in YouTube, you can literally find anything that you're looking for. Whether it's do-it-yourself videos or how-to videos, it's literally on YouTube. And there's short form, there's long form. And so what I do on YouTube, my niche is actually comic books, right? And so when I first started, I was like, oh yeah, I don't think anybody's going to talk about, comic books on YouTube. And this is going back like a while now. We're going back like 13, 14 years ago.
I was going to ask you, like, how far back is this? And I may be new to this, but I don't feel like the online community thing isn't much more than 15 to 16 years popularity wise, right? I mean, it's kind of a newerish venue.
I think like YouTube, I could be wrong, but I think YouTube got started around, man, I want to say like maybe 2006 or something like that. But yeah, it's been around for a while now. I know they just celebrated their anniversary. But yeah, that's how my idea started. And as soon as I got onto YouTube, I was shocked how many people actually were on YouTube talking about comic books. And it's the community that makes it so much fun because you can interact with other people that talk about comic books, fans. And the tough thing is when you're on YouTube, the thing is you got to give them a reason to want to listen to you. What are you going to do different from somebody else that's out there? If you don't have a plan in place, then it's not going to work. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, with your situation, because like you said, comics you thought was a very niche industry and nobody would be out there doing it. You might be kind of a trailblazer, but it turns out there's a lot of people. But you turn those people into your followers and part of your community, not against you, but to work with you. It sounds like.
Correct. Yeah, I actually do a live stream myself every Tuesday night. It's called Comic Book Weekly, where I go with two other of my friends that I met online, and we talk about our favorite comic books of the week, books that we're looking forward to, the comic book news of the week, and I'm not saying we're breaking the internet. You know what I'm saying? But we do have a nice little following while we're live. We'll have around 60 to 80 followers watching live. And then I'll get well over 1,000, views that post watch it. And listen, again, it's not anything big or groundbreaking, but if you continue to put in the work, right, you have a slow progression of, increased followers and watchers. And my whole thing as time has gone along is if I can help somebody make a decision on comic books to buy, or at least just one person, then I think I succeeded. And that was kind of like my intent when I first started and went online to do this, and I not only have achieved that by tenfold, but I have done some other things where I mean, it's weird. I've changed people's lives in very many ways, which is kind of that blows my mind in myself because it's like we're talking comic books here.
Right, true. But you do that a lot through tennis as well. I've known you so well, your personality and the way you interact with people. You have such a great presence with people. I just that doesn't surprise me. It might surprise other people, but the way you are, I mean that's a feather in your cap. But it's something that doesn't surprise me either. You're such a good guy like that way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it's comics though. You know what I'm saying? It's weird.
I know you're thinking comic books, they're gonna change somebody's life, but do you do so you do a weekly stream on Tuesdays, and then you do a new comic book Wednesday, is it? Or what?
Yeah. So my channel has developed into what you would say like your weekly sitcoms type of channel, right? Where a lot of people will go online and they'll go and they'll do a video and they'll do a vlog, or they just come up with a viral video and they're a one hit wonder. So my thing is like, well, what am I going to do to have steady growth and sustain the channel, and what's going to work with me, because that's not my full-time job. I do make money on YouTube, but my full-time job is obviously teaching tennis and my mornings are available. So I came up with these sitcom type of episodes where it's like Wednesday is new comic book day where I showcase everything that's coming out. Thursday is another show where it's called After the Poll. I'm sorry, it's called Worthy Ones, where I talk about new issue ones that are coming out for the week, right? So it's like it's new series that were released. And then Fridays, I talk about new issue ones that are coming out for the following week. And then so every day it's something. Wednesday or yeah, go ahead.
So Wednesdays are just new comics, doesn't matter what it is, just a new comic.
Just showing you what I bought at the comic store.
Right. And explain that real quick. Because I remember I went with you once. I'm trying to think back. We went somewhere in Orlando and we drove and they all knew you, but there's something specific. They have like a pile of books or something behind the desk.
I think it was a free comic book day that we went to that day.
That's what it was. Okay.
What new comic book day is it's the day when new releases come out and you go to the shop and they're like, "Here you go, Mike. Here's your stack." And my stack is not like this. It's not like this little small thing. It's like it's huge, man. It's like 30 books high, and it's yeah, it's hilarious. So and again, it's all the new comic books for the week, and those comic books that I read for the week pretty much set up the rest of the comic book week to make my YouTube videos.
Yeah, I think a lot of my listeners, I'd be surprised to know there's comics every week. They might thought it was every monthly or quarterly. I don't think anybody realized that weekly and Wednesday was the big day, that was a thing. So that's interesting that that's the big thing. And you said sometimes between 10 and 30 comics for the week.
Oh, yeah, that's at least me. I mean, since I have a YouTube channel and my thing is helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, I read as much as I possibly can, or at least what interests me, and there's a lot that interests me.
You got to read it all, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I grade the book. I'll be like, "Oh, this book is great. It's like the most fantastic thing I've ever seen." Or it's like, yeah, this book is kinda like hot garbage right now, so we're not gonna buy the next issue, you know?
You got to take like cliff notes almost like you did back in school. Like, okay, write this down, dot me this thing.
Kind of. I mean, reading for me wasn't very fun when I was a kid. I fell behind, and I hated doing it, but comics was a thing that, it tells its story through its pictures as well with the dialogue, so it helps you comprehend the story a little bit more. And I just love looking at the artwork, and the pages are like, it's only like 23 pages per comic, so it's like, okay, 10 minutes and I'm done. Right? It's not like where you're reading a novel and you're like, "Oh my god, I got 400 pages to I got 400 pages to read." I'm like, and then you're like, "Am I almost done? Am I almost done?" And if the book is bad, you're like, "Do I have to read the rest of this?"
You're like, where's the cliff notes for this thing? Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I remember that. Yeah. Cause in school, reading was not my thing. I was a numbers guy. So I'm like, I got to read something. I'm out. I don't want to deal with this at all. I want to be able to look at some pictures or add some numbers up and be done with it. So you're okay. So Wednesday you do the comic review. Thursday's the new series. Friday's the new series for the next week. Did you mention you have a live stream as well?
The live stream is the one I do on Tuesdays. Yeah, and I do that with my friends, and that's called Comic Book Weekly. And then I literally have a series every day. Like Saturday, I have a series. Sunday, I have a series. Monday, I have a series. And then it repeats every single week.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to transition to in something my listeners didn't want to talk about. So what are the financial effects and what's the difference? Maybe help me understand. As I understand, there's live streaming, there's podcasts, and there's YouTube, or is YouTube part and parcel? And pardon my misunderstanding, but maybe explain how those different words interact with each other.
So when you do your YouTube videos, right? It's just the videos that you record, you pre-record them, and then you launch them on YouTube, right? And then when you do your live stream for YouTube, you can do it through like third party, like StreamYard, kind of like where we're recording this right now. And then what happens is you attach it to your YouTube channel, and then it streams live on YouTube, and people watch, and then they can comment as well.
So that's how I misunderstood. I thought StreamYard, which is what we're on now, shout out to them. Maybe get a little promo for that. I thought they were the base, but you're saying this is just like the tool, and then YouTube is where the platform where it actually sits on to get to your people.
Correct. And so StreamYard, you can actually stream on multiple platforms. Like you can do it on Facebook, you can do it on like I said, YouTube. I think Twitch maybe you can do it. Like I don't know, but I we use it for YouTube. So that's how it works there.
And obviously we're doing podcasts. I'm explaining to my listening, but it's podcast and that's pre-recorded and then drops on wherever it wants to go, Spotify or Apple. That makes sense. And from a financial perspective, because I know with podcasts, everyone's like, oh, build your audience, build your audience. That's where you get the money. But with live streaming and podcasts, what have you found? You might be more the subject expert matter than me with the years, but and you don't have to talk about you specifically, but what are the financial effects or how does the financial breakdown work? Live stream, you get a certain amount of money of people watching it or recordings. Maybe explain a little bit about the financial effects for each type. I don't know what YouTube or TikTok or Spotify, whatever you know of. I don't want to scope.
Well, where I make most of my money is on YouTube. I have Facebook, but I don't use videos from there. I'm just like an online presence. I have my own page where my followers can. It's like an extension of my channel where they can follow me. So, but on YouTube wise, based off of however many views that you get a so much money. So whether it could be like every 1,000 views, you get so much money, right? So I, on the average, would probably say if I put out a video based off of the views that I get, I probably make anywhere between $20 and $50 on that particular video based off of the views that I get on it. So, like,
Your new Comic Wednesday one you're talking about, for example, just an average.
well, yeah. So, like, if I get like 3,000 views on there, that video might get like $30 or something like that.
And I've seen before. I was going through your channel, obviously, kind of. I was watching some of your videos, and I think I've seen a couple. Where you've had like 15 or 20. I'm trying to think back to your highest numbers, but you had some big numbers on some of those.
Yeah, no, I've had some, I had like one video get like 46,000 views, 26,000 views, like things like that. And just like, sometimes there's a video out there that you produce that's out of the realm, right? That gets a lot of views. Like, for example, I did this Disney Plus video where it first launched the first day, and this thing crashed so hard. And so, like, I recorded it. I pressed the button. It was like the circle of death on the screen. And I'm just like raising my eyebrows and I'm like, okay, Disney, like, what's going on here? Right. And so this video just like blew up, It's just right place, right time. You just don't know sometimes.
Yeah, like you said, it could be the magic area, and all of a sudden two things cross, and boom, yours blows up. And just like podcasts, each one maybe get more views than others. And it's interesting because the financial effects, and I guess there's different places you can do this, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Spotify. I don't know if Apple has a platform or not.
Well, when you do YouTube, right, your long form content, which is what I do, is usually tends to pay a little bit more because it what it is it's longer form, and these videos here, you get paid more money for them, right? And you need less views to get that money. If you do short form view on YouTube, which is like, like shorts or like what's on TikTok and things like that, you need like 2 million views just to earn like $20 on a video. Because what happens is people just they scroll through it for a second and then that's it, and that counts as a view. And so it's just like you need so many because the watch time on that is like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, where a long form content could be 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes. And the longer someone watches your video, especially long form content, the better that it is. And that can help you make more money that way because the algorithm pushes your content out there for other people to watch.
I didn't realize the length of the video had any impact on the financial breakdown, but that actually makes sense. So you get people on, what is it, Instagram? I call them influencers. I know you're one, well, but I'm thinking those kind of Instagram influencers and doing silly videos and stuff. I might see that video and I'll watch it for 15 seconds. Maybe 30 seconds would be a lot to watch a video like that. If someone's doing silly games and like hitting family members in the head was kind of something.
Yeah, yeah, like, exactly, like, those videos are, like, 10 seconds, and it's like, I saw the one the other day where it was, like, the dude is sitting on a stool, and the wife it's, like, the trust thing, and then she has a belt, and she's gotta knock the bottle off the top of his head, and there's so many women that fail at it, and I feel so bad for the guy, but that's, like, a 10-second video, and that has to get millions of views in order to generate income, you know?
Now that makes more. I didn't understand that at all. I thought you put it on there for any second, it gets a certain algorithm penny a second or penny a viewer. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's so little for that short form, and, like, again, for me, it's if I get watched how I can increase my base and increase my to the potential to make more money is if I get people to watch at least over 50% of that video, then again, the YouTube algorithm pushes my content to other places, and then, that which creates possible views, possible subscribers, and possible more money.
Right. Okay. So it really works with you. The more you get people to watch longer, YouTube kind of helps you in a way. It guides you to, to get you more viewers. Oh, that's amazing.
And there's all these tips and tricks on like that YouTube tries to explain to you on like what to do and on how to make your video and make it engaging, have a great thumbnail and all these different things. So you try to follow the staples, but try to be unique to yourself. So again, so people will watch you. You know, you don't want to follow this script and not be entertaining at all. And then it's just like, and then people are like, this guy sucks.
You want to have something entertaining and knowledgeable at the same time, and do that both is really hard to do. You got to find a way to kind of make it exciting and fun. Like, oh, look at this. This is so cool. And, if you're talking about a topic that can be difficult for people to watch, like, all right, let's make this exciting somehow. But with obviously comic books, people want to be watching that. So you'd still make it fun, but your format, I imagine, is going to be similar for each video where you have a certain thing you start with and it'd be middle and an end, I imagine, of some sort.
Yeah. For instance, like I'll be like, hey, this is Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content, you like me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, you came to the right place. Hit that subscribe button. So that's kind of like where I go with.
You had that down almost like you weren't even thinking. It was like part of your second nature.
And then at the end, I close it off by like, always remember, support your local comic shops, keep buying, keep collecting, but always remember, read your comic books so we can have great comic conversation. So that's usually how I end a video too.
I love that. They call that the outro. I just learned that word recently.
Yes. Yeah.
What a weird word. I've heard of intro my whole life, but then someone introduced me, working my production team. They said, oh, there's an outro. I go, what is an outro? Is that even a word?
Yeah, yeah, it's big on YouTube to kind of close it out, and it gives you also an opportunity while you're closing it out to put outro videos so they can continue to click and watch and stay engaged in your channel, so then they can again subscribe, and obviously you make more income that way. So there's other ways to keep people engaged in watching your content.
Okay. So it can be live streaming. And then is there a way when someone's live streaming? I've seen this coins or something, or like dollars you give to somebody. I don't know what that's called, but you can give them a
Everybody has every, I would say, platform has their different way of doing it. Like, so Facebook, when you go Facebook Live, I don't know if they still do it anymore, but they do these coin things where you give them coin. I have no idea what that is, right? But for YouTube, you can give super chats. Now, you have to have so much watch time to unlock certain, I would say, benefits as a YouTuber. So as you get more watch time, right, and produce videos out there, you get those benefits so where you can earn more income. So as you live stream and your audience is live, then what happens is they can donate what's called a super chat. And the super chat can range anywhere from 99 cents all the way up. And dude, I've seen people go like $200 before. Yes. And I'm like, so I watch like Miami Dolphins live streams on YouTube. And I'm like, man, these guys got $100 to donate to this channel. I'm like, that's crazy.
You're like, these guys talking about football. I think we should be donating that kind of money over to the comic book side of things.
I mean, but I do get my share. Like I do get like small ones, like 99 cents, $2, $5, and they pop up and it highlights on the chat, right? And then what happens is what you do is then you shout them out and you say, oh, I want to thank Craig for giving me my $2 super chat, or they'll put a question and you answer the question. So it highlights them.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've seen that. I think I've seen it on the Facebook side of things back when Facebook was really popular for their streaming. It was during like the COVID time. It was like a huge thing. Everyone was doing coins. I remember that was, and I heard with YouTube, they call it super chat. And then also in YouTube, you can do paid subscribers as well. Is that something you can do in addition?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So this is what's called the memberships, right? So you can be a membership of the channel. Same thing, you have to get a certain tier on your channel to unlock memberships. Because what YouTube wants is YouTube wants you to make sure that you're serious about doing this thing in order to give you these benefits, because it does cost money for them. But they do make money in the long run too, because they get percentage of the super chats. Not all that money is yours. Yeah. So they do get a portion of it. I mean, like I said, they got to make money, right? So,
It's not all free, obviously, and you pay the platform, but they want to make the rest of the money.
right. And so when it comes to these memberships, you can create as many different tiers and you can give them the members benefits, right? So why do you want different tiers? So for me, there's like a 99-cent tier, there's a $5 tier, and there's a $10 tier. And then you can do things like, oh, you'll get as a 99 cents tier, you'll get early access to videos, or you'll get emojis. Like you write a comment, you can have an emoji. Just different things like that. But the big thing for me is the early access to my content.
Oh, that's cool. So you're recording things before you drop it. So if you got a drop on Thursday, you may have recorded it on Tuesday, so those people can get access Tuesday or Wednesday to it.
Correct. Exactly.
That's cool. Do you also give them like what was I going to say? Something about one-on-ones with you or anything like that, or get special time to talk to you?
No, because I don't have the time. I think that's my biggest thing is the time because I do all this during the day and then obviously do family life at the same time during the day. And then I got to teach in the evening time. So it's very hard for me on a regular basis to, go out there and do these one-on-ones and things like that, because this schedule that I do it's very regimen. Like I very much have to stay on top of it because if I don't and I fall behind just by a little bit, then almost the entire week is shot.
Right. Yeah, you got a certain order you're doing things, obviously. You got this much time, you got well, you had the I was gonna say you had the kids trying to take them to school and all that, but I think that's changing for you too. But we'll go over that later.
You remember I'm a one-man show to this. So like I come up with the ideas, I do the filming, I do my own editing, producing, I make sure I upload it to YouTube, I create the thumbnails. So like everything that is involved, I do it. Just me.
And that's really important to say because doing all this yourself and you're trying to come up with the content and the time to record it, it's not just people see you on, oh, look, Mike's just streaming right now, no big deal. Well, yeah, but there's also time to prep for that stream, the time to post the stream or whatever it is after that. And then if you're doing videos, it's a lot of work. Whatever, I know in college, it used to be every hour of class, you 2 hours of homework or vice versa, something like that. I imagine with you, there's got to be some kind of formula with every, 10 minutes of streaming has to be so much behind the scenes work as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes work. You see 12 minutes of that video, but you don't see the hours that go into making that video, whether it's reading the comics, buying the comics, editing the video at the end, uploading the video. And luckily, like honestly, I do everything on my phone. So the phone is that powerful, right? Where I have editing software to where I make my entire video, I film it, I edit it, upload it, everything on there.
Oh my God. That is it. It's impressive to think the phone's that powerful. You can just do it in your car, you can do it at home. And I assume right now you're in your studio. I see your background there. So I assume you're
The live stream I have, obviously there's a computer for this. So
that's a great background. I try to get Spidey Mike colors today, but I don't think I really hit the mark. But I'm usually in white.
some red and white. You got a little bit of blue there.
I tried to go real Spidey Mike colors for you today to try and represent the comic book. This isn't the kind of shirt I wear to work. I thought I'd do something funky and cool to be hip today, but I tried to hit the mark. Now, from a financial perspective, and I'll go through this real quick, and I'll just take the mic for a minute. But from a financial perspective, you'd mentioned the way the revenue comes in and its various platforms, whether it's live streaming or if you drop the episodes and you work the numbers through YouTube, or if it's if it's Instagram for whatever reason, you get thousands of followers. But on the back end, and you mentioned there's back end production work, and I'm going to talk just a little bit, just do a little parenthesis here, caveat, talk to my audience a bit, but there's financial effects to that. When you are a YouTuber or just say an online presence person, you're going to get a 1099 NEC because the rules are changing with this new tax law. And I always try and remember it's OBBBA. It's a lot of B's in there, but the one big beautiful bill, they're changing it now so that what we call the trigger to get 1099s are not only smaller, but they're going to be more visited by different platforms. Where before, I think if you sent money through Venmo or Cash App, they're like, yeah, whatever. But now if you have certain criteria in there and it says a certain, let's say that you can choose why you're paying somebody, you can trigger a 1099 if you're not careful. But even bigger than that, when you're an online presence person, so if you want to get in the online presence world, if you want to do podcasts and do what Mike's doing and what we're doing here as well, there's going to be financial effects. You can't just say, oh, I'm just going to do this and the IRS isn't going to find out about that. They will.
Yeah. Now, I can say that YouTube does send that 1099. They send it to you. So it's not like one of those platforms where they've never done it before, because there's people out there that make millions of dollars at doing this, you know? Yeah, millions of dollars. Like you talk about, like, for instance, everybody knows like Mr. Beast, right? That guy.
I didn't want to promote it. Yeah, I was going to say him. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just insane, right? And so I make a small portion of, obviously, like, I'm like a part-time job person on what I make monthly, but I still make, which you would say, a salary, so from this. And so they send me, and obviously I have to file every single year.
Now, with that, as a tax advice here, and I'll just throw it in really quick nugget of this is there's expenses you can take to offset this revenue, because when you operate a business, even though it's online and we're sitting here talking in the virtual space, you think, well, there's no expenses to that. Well, that's not. Look behind Mike right now. There is cost for him to do his backdrop. There's a microphone that he's using. There is going to be all the different parts of the production side and the cost to have YouTube expense. All those are going to be deductions you can use to offset your revenue, in addition to maybe using part of your home for business. So you can do business use of your home. You can do rent. You can do cell phone. Obviously, Mike's using his for his phone. Obviously, you want to take a very big chunk of your cell phone bill, and you want to take your internet service, all of that. And that's where it comes in handy to talk with a CPA or an accountant that knows about, the expenses that offset for podcasters or YouTube influencers or just influencers in general, because it's a very niche world. And a lot of times people don't realize what they can deduct, or they go the other direction and they're just trying to deduct everything. It's like, well, you got to do it within reason. And you don't want to trigger an audit with the IRS, because they know what is and isn't deductible for the most part. And if you start doing weird things like grocery bills at Publix, they're going to be like, or whatever your grocery store is, sorry. They'll be like, what are you doing? It doesn't, apples and oranges.
You're not a cook influencer, right?
Well, yeah. And you got to be in line with what you do. You got to jive with what it is you do. So you got to be careful to know the rules. And it's always good to have a professional to help you with that. So it's kind of a little caveat I put in there, because it's a great thing to do. But all of a sudden, at the end of the year, you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was going to have this financial effect. Obviously, Mike, you've been doing it now for 20 odd years. You know what to expect and what to deduct.
Yeah, I mean, it's the big thing is like, is the comic books themselves, right? So a comic book will range anywhere from the cost of $3 to $5 a piece. Yeah, so that's what it is. And then obviously, if you get the comic books that are worth some value, they're gonna cost more. But since I do showcase every single comic book that I purchase, that is part of the business, and I claim those comic books every single year.
I'll vouch for the IRS on camera here. I've seen it as a CPA. And also, don't isn't there something where if you send a comic book off, is the word graded? Is that the right word?
Yeah, yeah, you can get comic books graded. I know where this is a podcast, is not visual, but I do have in my background, I have comic books that are actually graded back there, and, it's a
Oh wow, oh, yeah, I see it. Bottom left. Isn't there like a number or something?
Yeah, it's a bottom left on my side, and the top left as well, and, you can send them in, and, they will professionally grade them, and obviously when they get capsulated, so they're preserved, and then technically these things are worth more money when they're graded. Now, some people don't always believe in getting your graded comic books, which it's totally fine. I think comic books are best, in my personal opinion, not graded, because they're meant to be read. And then when you sell them to somebody, right, they can do what they want with it at that point in time.
It's funny because this is going to sound really weird, but when you do get a comic book valued, it turns into, from a financial perspective, it turns into an asset. It turns into it goes from your profit and loss side of the books. If you run in a business, it would go over to your balance sheet, and it sits there as an asset, just like you would with a car, company car, or a computer. This asset has a value to it, so therefore you gotta drop it into your balance sheet to say, look, this is something worth more than $1,000, which I'm sure some comics are worth more than 1,000. I assume.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, there's the speculator market out there. So these are the speculators that sit there and go, "Oh my God, this is the first appearance of Wolverine and the Incredible Hulk fighting with each other." I think it's Hulk issue 181, right? And so people are like, "Oh my God, I gotta get this copy." And so they could have what they say is a raw copy, which is just a book that's not graded. They send it in, they get a grade on it, and now it's worth twice as much as it was before. And then what they try to do is they try to flip it. They'll try to sell it to somebody else, right? So they could buy that raw copy for like, I'm just throwing a number out there, $300. And then what happens now that you got it graded, it's worth $2,500. And so now they'll try to actually flip that comic book. So those are the speculators. That's the side of the comic business where people just do it for basically the money.
In the other world, the renter's world, this is analogy, but it's like buying a house and flipping a house, or buying a house to rent it versus flipping it to sell it, is an analogy. Same thing. They're kind of messed the market up because all they're doing is driving prices up, and people like you and me, we're trying to just do the work and get subscribers and talk about things where the
Yeah, I read the comics. I physically read them. That's what my channel is. Now, here's a big thing. So, we're talking numbers. During COVID, there was this big boom in the collector market because everyone got these stimulus checks and whatnot, and people were spending a lot of money on collectibles, comics in general, and the prices of comic books skyrocketed. I mean, skyrocketed. You could get the crappiest issue of some minor appearance, and this book would be like $500. That would be normally a $20 book. And people are buying these things. And I had one of my garage sales. I had like hundreds of people come through here because the market was like so big and people were looking for deals and trying to flip these books. And now you would say that right now the comic market for the speculators has it is crashed because it's like the stock market. It's just come down because certain things can only go high, right? And then the bubble bursts, just like the housing market or whatnot. And so that's where comics are right now when it comes to the value of certain comics these days.
so it's on the cyclical, is kind of the downside right now, where the values aren't as much. It is interesting. That's a good analogy, like a stock market or housing market. Yeah, it's got a market, and people out there watching it. And maybe overall, maybe give kind of as we round out here, maybe what does it take to start up a YouTube channel and build a subscription base? We've talked about kind of what it takes to run it, but and I'm kind of going backwards now because we've kind of already talked about it. We got it going, but how do you get started, and what is maybe some ways and tricks? If you don't have to give away your secret sauce, but build a subscription base or something along those lines.
So, number one, I would say if you're of been on the bubble or on the fence, I should say, about starting a YouTube channel, don't give in to your fear. The biggest thing is just getting started. I think that is the hardest thing. And you would say a lot of YouTubers, a lot of social media influencers out there are going to be in that same boat, right? They'll sit there and give you that same advice because if you don't start, you've already failed. So you got to make sure that you get started. And all you need to get started honestly these days is a cell phone because your cell phone can take pictures. It can film you. It can do whatever you want. When I started, I had this crappy computer. The cell phones couldn't do what they could do now, not even close. When I started back in 2008 or whatever it was, and I had I had a 2.0 megapixel webcam. This thing was garbage. This thing was so bad. I had this computer. I would video myself. I'd be like, "Hey, my name is Mike. This is Comic Book Corner 2.0." And it was like yeah, and it was like, but there was no yeah, there was no animation in my voice because I was scared and I was worried, and it's just like it took a lot of experiments to go through, you know? And to upload a video, it took like an hour because the computer was so slow. And I was just like, "Oh my gosh." So, it's a lot of trial and error. And so it's gonna take time, but once you figure out what you want to do and why people want to follow you, right? Then you'll have something going. That is the biggest thing. You know, give people a reason why they want to watch you, because I can guarantee you whatever's out there, it's already been done 10 times over. Whether you're a do-it-yourselfer, you video record yourself cooking, whether you're a comic book YouTuber, whether you're a guy that fixes cars, there's somebody has done it. And so there's got to be a reason why you got to be the next big thing, or not even. Don't even strive to be the next best thing. Give me a reason why people want to watch you and slowly build up that audience. That's kind of like my formula.
I was just gonna say, because if you go there thinking I gotta be the next greatest thing, you'll put so much pressure on yourself. You'll think, well, I'll never reach that. Why you have that imposter syndrome, thinking, well, why am I special? No one's gonna want to watch me. But it may be, like you said, build your base slowly. Maybe some people connect with you and you're in the target market more than other people. And you'll learn as you go. So building that subscription base and building up your followers will happen organically because your personality will show through. Like yours.
And you have to have, again, you have to have some type of schedule or be consistent. If you post a video like on Tuesday and then you don't post another video till next Thursday, the algorithm's not gonna catch you. You know what I'm saying? It's you're not putting out enough content. Now, I'm not saying you have to post every single day, but post to the point where at least you'll be consistent. So if you wanna do 2 videos a week, 1 on Tuesday, 1 on Thursday, and then you do another one Tuesday, Thursday, as long as you're consistent and then you start seeing growth and you feel like you can add something to your plate, then go for it that way. But if you post a video and then you will post one for another month from now, it's going to be a recipe for disaster. And that's like that for all social media outlets, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, any of those things, you know?
Fresh content is important. You got to feed the beast, so to say.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to. And with comics, again, it's a very niche audience. So I would say I'm not on the biggest side of things when it comes to even my platform, but I would say that I am like a mid-tier or maybe a little on the lower of the high end scale of things. But it's just one of those things where you just have to be consistent with your schedule. And being that comics is it's like the news. It's like one comic will be hot one week, but then when that new week drops, that comic that came out last week, it's old news at this point. So the tough thing about a comic book channel is staying fresh. And the key to YouTube in general, when you want a video to keep getting views, is having an evergreen type of video, something that's completely watchable maybe 2 years from now. And unfortunately, when it comes to comic books, it doesn't really hit the mark all that much unless it's a particular topic on like how to store your comics without ruining them, you know? Store them in your garage. I store all my comics in a garage, and some would say, "Why do you do that?" But my comics are fine. But topics like that are more evergreen instead of a comic book review.
Yeah, we do a series called Toolbox Series for people who want to start a new business. We have like 10 professionals that everybody should have in their toolbox. We interview them one at a time. And that'd be like an evergreen series where you say, okay, yeah, you need a payroll person, you need a lawyer. They can watch it later on. But that's right. That stands a test of time where, dropping new videos might be, yeah, we talked about that at that comic like 3 weeks ago. That's done. I want to talk about this new one. So you got to stay fresh and having people on there. And then you also do, like you said, your other full-time job is tennis. So has this helped you with that side of things, whether it's your personality or the way you communicate? Has this helped you in other areas of your life as well?
I would say that tennis may have helped me with the communication piece of making a video, because the biggest thing I think is people are afraid of the camera, right? And for me, I don't know if this is a good thing, but I look at the camera as just a person, and I don't even realize that the camera is not just a person, but when you think about it, it's the whole world. Like, and maybe my narrow mind has helped me with that, right? But it is the camera is the entire world. And my big thing is when I was reading comics when I was a kid, you had very few people that you could talk to. You were like a nerd back then, and people are like, "Oh yeah, you read comic books, you're a nerd," and they would pick on you, right? And so and you would have your very few friends that would like comics, and I had this one friend that kinda got me into them, and we would talk about them. And, but for some reason, because of that friend, I stuck with them all this time, and I always said, "Oh, it'd be great to talk to comics with a lot of people." And YouTube has given you that opportunity. You talk with everybody. You talk with the entire world. I get people from the UK that make comments, Germany, yeah, all over the place, Switzerland, like a ton of people that have followed me from across the pond. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. And there's analytics that show you what the demographic is on like age range on who follows you, and US follows you, Europe follows you, UK follows you, all this.
Oh, that's so cool. But it might be an ignorant question, but if a comic book's released on a Wednesday, would that comic be released anywhere else in the world or just the US? And you may not know that answer. I don't know.
It depends. I think it depends because they get their books in different places. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's probably not as fresh because they're most of the comic books I assume are made here in the US, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, in the US, you get your comic books on Wednesdays, and a lot of them get them before that, and then they release them from for the next week. But in like Europe or in all these other places in UK, like I think they get them at different times, so their release schedule might be a little bit different. I'm not 100% sure on that though.
That's interesting. You have people across the pond, and especially with my connection, my background. That's funny because I got some people follow me from other places as well, and you're thinking, oh boy, this is worldwide now. And like you mentioned, the camera is the world. We're talking here. I view everything as one on one because, like you as well, I had tennis in my background, and talking to people at first was scary, and then after a while, you realize, no, they're people just like us, and they're nothing to be scared about, and just talk about what you know. And you might make mistakes sometimes, but you make mistakes no matter what. And if it's in front of people, it's in front of people. Oops, my bad.
Yeah, it's a learning process. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you can always hit that stop button and then restart again. And there's so many times where it's just like, "Hey, this is my spine," blah, blah, blah. And you're like, "Oh, stop." And then you're just like, "Hey, I want to talk about Amazing Spooderman." And you're like, "Oh, okay, let me start again." And so there's like so many times, or there's a time where you just start coughing, and it's just a natural reaction of, the part of the world of being a YouTuber, or even a podcaster. We're in the middle of this podcast right now. You could have a complete coughing fit. It happens. It's part of the business. It's the way it goes.
You should have blooper Tuesdays or blooper Mondays. Like all your accumulation of your bloopers.
Oh my, I've done that before and it is crazy. There's times though where like I'll do a video and I'll do a segment, and this one segment will take me like 20 takes and I'll be like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "What is wrong with me?" I gotta get up and walk away and start again. But again, as you become more comfortable in front of the camera, those things tend to come less and less. But I would say that YouTube has helped me with tennis, and tennis vice versa, because it helps me have better conversations towards people that I meet.
Absolutely. I remember we used to do tennis. Well, we still you do, but do tennis camp. And at the end of tennis camp or beginning of tennis camp, you'd address the parents. Maybe it was the end. Either way, no, you address the campers in the beginning in a big group, and you'd address the parents at the end in a big group. And I remember you just walk up and just start talking, And it was so natural. I remember you go, okay, guys, what do you want to talk about? And there was maybe 4 pros, let's say, that week. So you'd say, all right, you know, Frank or Larry or Craig, and maybe, okay, here's what we want to talk about. I remember you go back and just be so natural the way you spoke to the kids at their level, and then the adults at their level appropriately. I'm thinking, boy, he's so good at communicating. And I'm thinking it probably did have a greater impact on you than you realize. The way you communicate is so clean and smooth, and you talk over what needs to be talked about, and it's the appropriate level. Obviously, talking to the kids at the beginning of camp is different than talking to the parents at the end of camp.
When it comes down to it, I mean, you're your own biggest critic, they tend to say, right? So it's like something that might not be like a big deal when you watch or go back, it's not, and so but it's good. And it's one other thing I can say to somebody is when you're a YouTuber and you're going to produce your videos and you go through the editing process, after the editing process, go back and once that video is live, rewatch it. I know a lot of people are weird about watching themselves, but if you watch it when it's live and it's out of the editing room, sometimes you can catch even other like mistakes that you might do and be like, "Oh, I said this or I presented it this way." And then when you catch that error, then maybe you can fix it going forward, you know?
So hard, and it's even actors that talk about not watching movies that they've made because they're so self-critical about themselves.
Right. So, I do that all the time.
I'm maybe right now I've done my podcast. I think I've got as far as 12 minutes in is I'm getting guts to get to the full. Usually my podcasts are an hour. I've got 12 minutes and I have to turn it off and then I got to do another 12 minutes. I can't get much more than at a time. So I just look at myself and I'm so critical. I'm like, oh man, it's hard. Like you said, you're very critical of yourself.
Yeah, and you do have to just kinda get to the point where you're just like, "All right, let me just go with it," and then you just learn from it next time. That's just kind of the way sometimes it goes, but I totally get that. You're your own critic and you're hardest on yourself, and I'll do that today, and I even do that with tennis too. There's times where I'll go home after tennis and be like, "Could I have taught that class better? Could I have interacted with that kid better? Did I say the right thing to that child that day?" Because again, those kids, when you teach them, they look up to us. We're the role models, in very many ways. So it's just like you want to constantly try to improve. And as long as you have been doing whatever it is that you do, whether it's teaching tennis, podcasting, live streaming, being a YouTuber, you always want to try to improve and tweak and get better. And if you do that, then I think you can grow your audience that way too. If you feel comfortable and things start getting stagnant, then you're not going to grow your audience also. So you got to constantly try to tweak things.
That's great advice, and that goes for pretty much anything you do in life, but specifically with this because you're so critical of yourself and you start second guessing yourself, imposter syndrome. But if you're doing the legwork and you're given what you believe to be accurate content, and you're doing your background and your research, then you can grow your base. People will see you're genuine, and they'll want to listen in as they do with you.
Yeah, and I love it. And one of those things too, and there's another advice if you're starting a YouTube channel and you get people that comment on your channel, try to comment back. There is that little there's a heart on next to their comments if you like their comment, and just try to, just acknowledge them because that's how you grow that audience. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you want to do it. And once you grow that audience, then obviously they might become members and you make more money that way. And then they'll throw you some super chats and you make more money that way. And then when you get popular enough, then YouTube starts sending you, access if you want to get brand deals, right? They'll send you emails. Yeah, they'll send you emails and they'll be like, "Hey, I'm this company, so and so. If you advertise our product on here, we'll pay you this amount of money. Or if you review my comic book, I'll pay you this amount of money." The computer desk that I have right now was sent to me for free as long as I did a review. So the desk that I'm on, I got absolutely for free. I got another company that sent me a desk as well. And I'm like, "Why do I need another desk?" And my son, he needed a new desk for his room. So I was like, "All right." I was like, "I'll put it together." I put some of my comic book YouTube statues or my comic statues on there. And I'm like, "Check out this new desk that I just put together from this company." And you can see that I can put your computer on here. It's got LED lights. You can put your statues and everything else. So I got that. So I probably gotten like $500-600 worth of like desks for free as long as I did a review. So you get those brand deals, you get money for that stuff. So that's another way you can make income as well as you continue to grow your audience.
That's great. You'd be like, "Yeah, today's episode is sponsored by, or this product is great, or whatever, whichever way you do it. Product placement, whatever they call it."
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You see all these YouTubes, like there's some guy that Miami Dolphin guy, he's just like, "Oh yeah, this video is brought to you by Mando." It's a deodorant spray. So he's getting a cut of money for doing that. So and then you get the inserted ads that are in the videos themselves, and that's the monetization piece. That's how you get paid there.
Ah, that's different. That's embedded in the video versus you talking.
So when I told you I get paid for the views, it's because of the ad placements that are placed in the actual video. So when people watch that ad or they click on that ad, you get a little bit more money for that and things like that. So that's the way it goes. It's ad placements or something like that. That's where most of my income comes from.
You're embedding it right into the actual video versus you holding it in your hand saying, "Buy this product." This is just a video that's stroll. I've done that. I've watched like a minute long video, and all of a sudden, about 30 seconds in, this video pops up, and I'm like, "Yeah, I like this content enough. I'll wait." And sometimes I'm like, "I'm out." It depends.
There's all kinds of stuff that go on there. Some of it's related to like maybe the stuff that you watch. So they try to get you involved. And then there's some stuff that's like there was some stuff in there that's completely inappropriate. I'm like, what are they trying to show me here?
Why are they censoring my comic thing?
It was just like, yeah, I'm not clicking on this, it's so stupid, man. But yeah, and again, that's just another way to make money. So it's those brand deals when they send you stuff and super chats, like I talked about, and just like memberships. Once the end of the month comes along, however many members that you have, they add up that money and it goes to your total at the end of the day.
Do you get drops of revenue? The frequency for YouTube is monthly. Is that right?
Correct. So for instance, I have the YouTube Studio app, and you can keep track of your money that you're accumulating through the month. So every day it updates it. So like say for instance, I'm like at $727 yesterday, and then today it jumps to $787. And then you can create a threshold of when you want to get paid from YouTube. So it's anywhere from $100 to the most is 300. So once I put 300 and they pay you monthly. So once I break the 300 threshold, then they'll send you that check. I break that $300 threshold easily every single month. So I literally get a check every single month. It's not a check. I'm sorry. They deposit it in my account.
It's a bank drop, basically, right in your bank account, right? And then as long as you have your bank account, whether it's a business bank account, that gets in another topic we can talk about for some people who want to get into this. If you could set yourself up as an LLC or an S corporation to avoid self-employment tax, or you do it individually, either way, there's expenses you can take, but that drop has to match the bank account that is being paid. So if you're a business, you got to have a drop on your business account. If you're getting it personally, it's got to drop on your personal account. So the ID numbers match each other. That makes sense. Oh, that's great. So you can monthly drops, and then even if someone does a live stream and gives you a super chat, even though they're giving it to you, then you won't get the money till the end of the month.
Correct. Yes. All that money you make through the entire month, whether it's a super chat, whether it's a membership, whether it's any, the monetization, it all accumulates on that month. And then at the end, it drops. So at the 21st of every month, I get paid.
Okay. So you just got your drop for August just a few days ago.
It just dropped yesterday. Yeah. Yeah. Because they don't do it on the weekends. They do it on the weekdays. So yeah, I just got paid yesterday from YouTube, and then it starts again.
Right. Okay. So that's your job. That gives the account.
Yeah, at the end of the month, it cuts off. So the 30th or whatever, how many days we have in this month will be the last day that I can accumulate money for that month.
And then boom, 21 day, well, roughly 21 days later, barring any weekends or holidays, you get to drop money right in your account. That's great. That's really good. It's so much. It was so much to learn about and so interesting. I really appreciate you sharing everything. And I know my audience will be really excited to hear about how you build a subscription to online platforms, and then maybe some of the financial effects of it. Maybe tell me about you. And when I say about you, I mean I want to go way back, not just what got you in this the last few years, but kind of go back to your childhood and what makes you you. Like, where did you grow up? Tell me about your family, and you can go as much detail as you want. Get people to get to know you personally, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I actually was born in California.
Really? Now I've known you 20 years. I didn't even know that. Sorry, I had to get that out there. Oh my god.
Yeah, in Torrance, California, actually. So Northern California. And I literally moved almost immediately out of there when I was like a baby to New York. That's where my mom's parents were living at the time. And then I think I lived there until maybe like two. I don't even know. And I moved to
Do you know where in New York? Was it like in the city or upstate or
I think it was Brooklyn.
Oh wow. You bet these are things I don't even know about you. And I'm learning a long time. This is great to get to. All right, keep going. Sorry.
And then I moved here to Florida. I think when I was like 3 or 4. Obviously, I don't know the exact age. And lived in, I started in Florida in Coral Springs, Florida. So, yeah, so it's just south of Boca Raton. And so I lived there for a couple years, and then I moved to Boca Raton, Florida. And so I grew up there. I learned how to play tennis in South Florida. So very competitive tennis world in South Florida. Still is today. Some of the biggest talent is down there. You got some big time academies down there. And it's crazy because you see that talent come up to Central Florida and play in tournaments at times.
All right. Wasn't Andy Braddock down there as well at some point? Down in that boat?
I know Vince Spadia was there.
Spadia, sorry, right. Ace Radius Spadia.
I was a hitting partner for him when I was young.
Oh my God.
Yeah, when I was like in middle school. So he would hit with me so I could get some practice in.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny. It was, it wasn't very often, but it was pretty cool. He was like up and coming at the time, so it was kind of funny. Yeah. So that was really cool. So and I, went to elementary school in Boca, middle school in Boca. I went to high school, played high school tennis, and then I didn't go to a university. I had some unfortunate events that happened with me and my father, and that's why I don't keep in touch with him now. And then unfortunately, but so I did some community school. I never graduated from community school. I'm just not a a well-educated person, I guess. I never
Well, we talked about reading. That reading wasn't something you really like to do, and you mentioned that earlier. It's like
Yeah, I was never good in school. I had reading comprehension problems, speech problems, math I could not comprehend well. I think I had some kind of form of ADHD or something like that. I don't know.
you're preaching to the choir on this one because that is like literally me to a T. And it's funny you say that. Real quick caveat: I remember teaching tennis. I think of like the 20 tennis pros in the community where we taught, which you know where that is. I feel like over half of them had ADHD as well. It's like part and part. What a great sport! Quick things, sport. The ball's moving around. Like how much more can you get?
You can focus just on that ball.
Perfect. It's perfect ADHD. I remember laughing about that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I just was always constantly in tutoring, and it wasn't until like I got to high school until my grades improved. But part of that was because I was on DECA, which is like the debate.
I remember DECA.
Right, and so you also got to go to on-the-job training. So I worked full-time at Winn-Dixie at the time. So after 4th period, I would leave, go to work at Winn-Dixie, work from like 1 o'clock in the afternoon to like 10:30 in the morning, and then go to school again the next day. But when from like 5th, 6th, 7th period, I would get all A's, from that period. So that raised my GPA, and you needed a 2.0 to at least play on the tennis team. So just based off of that, like I got, the GPA easily. But I played high school all that time, and like I said, I didn't go to college. I went to community school. And then when I got into, teaching tennis, that was kind of like my continuing education. So it's like we went to conferences. We went to one together. Remember that time we went to that hotel where I had the free food, and you're like, Mike, we gotta go upside to the concierge lounge to get the free food.
I told you to do that. You're like, what are you talking about, Craig? I go, no, there's a special floor, this Hyatt, whatever, this concierge. I'll be like, whatever. And you're like, oh my God, it was like an oasis of spread of breakfast everywhere. Like, this is freaking awesome. Remember that. That's going way back. I think your family stayed there too, didn't they, one night?
Yeah, we stayed there that night too, when we had the conference.
Those conferences are great. Meeting people from all over the country through those conferences.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of like how I was raised, and then I started getting into tennis teaching, and right now I'm married. Obviously, I have 2 kids. It's been great. I teaching tennis is like it's a gift. I couldn't be luckier to have a job like that, and to give back to the community and help others, and to give the sport, because I remember when I was a kid and I was learning it. The thing I said when I was a kid was, I want to have my own tennis facility, and I want to teach kids how to play tennis. And I couldn't be more closer than I actually am. I don't own the tennis facility, but I am the head pro of it. So I run the program, and I get to teach kids all the time.
I've witnessed students come back to you when they're adults saying, yeah, well, young adults, whatever it is. I mean, 10 years later, it's saying, you've had a big impact in my life, and here's what you've done for me. I've seen those people come back and talk to you, and you made a big impact on a lot of people's life. And I bet there's stories out there where people that haven't come back. And I bet there's situations where you've impacted them and they haven't even told you yet. But you've been a great presence for people. I know for sure teaching with you. You're awesome at that.
It's been great. I mean, I appreciate that. I've had students that want to be counselors at summer camp, and that is great. I love that. It's the greatest thing in the world. So
They're teaching now. And I used to say, when you teach, you learn. You may not know everything, but when you teach something, you're also learning it as well. And then you can then become a better teacher as a result of that.
yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to be this great all-star player to be a good coach. You can be a role model for somebody.
Oh my God. How many times have you been on the tennis court? I've been on a tennis court in a league, and they find out I used to be a tennis pro or a tennis coach. They're like, oh, you should never miss and you should be the best player ever. You're like, well, wait, hang on. I'm teaching people. I'll feed you guys better than anybody you've ever seen in the world. I'll give you guys instruction. But hitting a ball for 20 minutes in a row, we don't always do that. That's not our thing. They don't realize that we're not playing.
A fun fact about me too is that if I wasn't a tennis player, right, I would have been a football player if I was bigger.
Real, you like football.
I love football that much. It was my first, I would say, sport that I truly loved. I was always outside throwing a football with my dad or my friends. We would have big high school, like, backyard games. Like, we would go to a park, and there would be 40 people there, and we would split up in like 4 different teams, and we would have a playoff with each other. And then the team that won would play the other team, and the team that lost would play the other team. We've had games that lasted hours, broken fingers, bloody hand, like, just like it was full on tackle with no pads. And so I remember, actually, though, in my ninth grade year, my freshman year, I went to Spanish River High School for 1 year. And then, because I was getting rezoned for a new high school that was getting built. And so what happened was, I missed the team by one cut. It was me playing against another player, and whoever won that challenge match made the team. This team won states for consecutive years. And as you know, as a tennis player, we played an 8-game pro set, right? And so what happened, it was tie 7 games all, and it was deuce, no ad scoring, and the other person won that game.
Oh my God.
So I lost that by one single point.
Oh my God, that's gotta be frustrating. Oh,
Yeah, it was absolutely horrible, and I was devastated by that, of what happened. So,
But it shows you, you have the chance, the fortitude to get back up, brush yourself off, and keep going. So look what you're doing now.
And then what happened was I wanted to try out for football at that point in time because my new school was gonna have a brand new football team. So I was like, "Alri I'm done. I'm done with tennis. I'm gonna try out for football." Yeah, yeah, I was pissed. I was so pissed off. Yeah, and so I was gonna try I showed up to the team meetings and everything else, and my mom's like, "No, you're not playing football. You're gonna get killed. You're too small. You're like 5'7". You're not gonna play football. You're too small." And I was like, "Oh, I wanna play." And then my dad was like, he's like, "I want you to play too, but, your mom's against it. You're really good at tennis. I know you're upset. So just keep with tennis. Just keep playing tournaments," and so on and so forth. And then from that point on, I just stuck with it. The following year, I went to my new high school and I made the team, no problem. The other coach from the previous school, we played that team, and the coach was just like she gave me a hug, and she was like, "Oh, it's so good to see you. It's nice to see that you made the team." And she's like, "I'm so happy for you." It was, like, really, really good. I mean, the coach wanted me to make that team that day, and, it was just unfortunate. But it proves that, like you said, you fall down, you get back up. And I tell my players that all the time, like, "You lose a tournament, there's always gonna be another tournament. You don't make a team, there's always next year. You can do it. I know you can do it."
It builds perseverance, it builds fortitude, it builds, go get it and stick to itiveness, whatever you want to say it as. But you have become a different person. It rounded you out and made you a better person because of that. And when did you start teaching tennis? Were you in South Florida, or did you start teaching up here in Central Florida?
I volunteered in South Florida to teach on my high school team for a couple years just for, volunteer. I helped assist coach the girls team for a little bit, and so that was kind of fun to do that. But it wasn't anything like major. I wasn't getting paid to do it or whatever. I wasn't certified or anything at the time. And then I wasn't until 2007 is when I started teaching. It was actually when my son was actually born was the first year I started teaching.
Oh, okay. So that wasn't far off when I first met you. You started out of a different club than I was at.
Yeah, I was at San Lando. Yeah, that's where it was. Yeah.
And I met you after, shortly, really shortly thereafter. It couldn't have been much more after that when we first
No, it was a couple years. I think it was like 2011 or something like that. It's when we started working at our park together. So
Gosh, it's been a while. I mean, I've known you for a long time, both personally and professionally, and now through Podcastly. I don't know what you want to say virtually.
yeah, when you reached out for me to do this podcast, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be cool because this is like up my alley too." And you're trying to learn the ropes on this as well. And I think that's great. I absolutely love it.
I'm so glad you joined. I know the listeners are going to love the conversation, and maybe someday I can do reciprocal and I can do an episode on your podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely love that. And then just going back to just, people out there in the world, whatever it is that you want to do and you want to create your own YouTube channel, just go out there and just do it. Whether you are an accountant, whether you're a plumber and you want to do something, whatever it is that you want to do, just go out there and do it. Because if you don't, then you're going to be going, "Well, what if I did do this?" And so it does take a lot of courage to put yourself out there, but once you do, you'll feel better about yourself.
Like I said, when I see you at tennis and your communication skills and the way you present yourself, I know it's some of that, or a big part of that's come from your online personality and presence. So I can attest to it personally as well.
Yeah, thank you. It's awesome.
That's great. That brings us to the end of another episode. We will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you for having me, Craig.
Behind Closed Books podcast requires more than a conversation. It takes action, research, and collective wisdom. If today's episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear your insights. Join the conversation and help us shape the future together. We'll be back with more stories, strategies, and real-world solutions that are making a difference for everyone. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe, rate, write a review, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it too. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.